Washington Commanders are off to their best start in decades, and they will be going to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, who are coming off an amazing victory against their AFC North rivals. This Commanders-Ravens game is highly unexpected to be probably one of the best games of the week, especially coming into the season. And Ryan and I, we're going to break down this matchup, the matchups within the game that you need to watch at the very end of the video, provide our predictions on who we think is going to win and why. But before we get into that, Ryan and I, we have a goal of getting to 100 new subscribers for the Week 6 prediction video series. We've been able to hit that goal over the past several weeks thanks to all of our new members. So thank you. And if you have not so already, if this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win and why. And so, Ryan, the Washington Commanders had another dominant performance here against the Cleveland Browns, who they're really sucking this year, but the Commanders are not sucking. They look absolutely phenomenal. Another great rushing performance, 215 rushing yards, three games now with 215 or more rushing yards, which is wild here. So by far one of the top rushing teams, second overall in rushing, only behind the Baltimore Ravens, who they're going up against today. But Jayden Daniels and this entire offense is clicking. I think what's a little bit more impressive is just the improvement overall on this defensive side. They were one of the worst defenses last year. And this year, statistically, they're about average, so to say. 14 overall in yards allowed, 13 in passing, and 22nd in rushing yards allowed, 8th in sacks with 15 sacks so far in the season. And they're going to need all this great defense performance that they can muster going up against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and this offense here, who had an amazing game against Cincinnati. Honestly, actually kind of stole one, if we're being completely honest here.
100%.
They should not have won that game, but hey, that's what great teams do. They find ways to win. And so 3-2 now on the season going up against the Washington Commanders. What is kind of your overall thoughts and kind of the key matchup that you feel each team needs to win kind of going into this Week 6 matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the one big thing I think the Ravens need to do is focus on keeping Jayden Daniels in the pocket. They do have a pretty disciplined pass rush. However, this defense hasn't been playing as well for the Ravens as they were last year or in years past. So that is one thing to kind of keep an eye on, is just how well can this defense perform, especially against an offense as explosive as this one. But to me, I think limiting the explosiveness of this offense starts with keeping Jayden Daniels in the pocket. Don't let him roll out. Don't stay in your rushing lanes. Like, make sure he is trying to beat you from the pocket. And then from there, preventing the down the field outside the numbers pass. I think that has to be something that they need to be very aware of. That is how they're getting a lot of these deep passing plays, is they're just winning outside the numbers. And they do get favorable matchups because this is a good rushing team. Like you said, they're second only to the Baltimore Ravens. And so for me, keeping Jayden Daniels in the pocket and then limiting the down the field outside the numbers passing, because I think that's how they're really burning these teams and really keeping these safeties away from the line of scrimmage. So for the Ravens, keeping him in the pocket. And then the Commanders have the 22nd ranked run defense in the NFL right now. They need to figure out a way to stop Derrick Henry. These last couple games, he has really come on and really started to look like himself. And I think if they want to stay in this game and be able to run the offense that they want to run and not let Baltimore kind of ease off the line of scrimmage and not have to worry as much about the run because they get a lead and you have to throw, they need to be able to stop Derrick Henry at the line of scrimmage. You can't let him get going downhill, because that's when he starts stiff arming guys and spinning them around and throwing them into teammates like he did to Josh Norman. And so, like, stopping him at the line of scrimmage. This Lamar passing attack did take steps forward, but it is an efficient passing attack. It's not necessarily an explosive passing attack. And so that, for me, I think, is stopping Derrick Henry, making Lamar have to beat you by throwing the ball down the field, which is a very similar game plan, I think, to what the Ravens have to do. It's just in different ways.
Yeah. It's actually, you can almost kind of maybe, I can see an argument where, like, both these teams are almost kind of mirror images. Like, the Commanders are almost kind of like a Ravens light when you kind of go and look at just the capabilities on both sides of the ball. I would think it. So quickly, before we continue, though, if you do want to put a couple of bucks down on this game, check the link down below. BetUS has a bunch of great promotions going on right now for first-time players. So you can take a look at this game or any of the other Week 6 games here. And I agree with a lot of what you said here as well. I think one of the things, though, and this is what we saw today with the uh, Ravens Bengals game, is they actually kind of put Derrick Henry in check for the most part until kind of that overtime run. Derrick Henry only had 92 rushing yards, and about 40 of that was on the very end play. But this is where you bring up the passing attack for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 26 for 42, 348 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Bengals brought some more guys up to try and stop Derrick Henry, which is all right, fine. But now this is where that Ravens team did take that stride forward, is what you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
a passing attack. And if you're the Commanders, it really is going to be you kind of have to have that extra guy in the box, but at the same time, though, there is enough to burn you. And the Commanders secondary, we saw the Cincinnati Bengals and the Washington Commanders play, and I would say their defenses maybe are probably performing comparably, even if I look statistically, actually, where the Bengals rank. Their Commanders statistically are a little bit better. They're 13th in overall passing yards allowed, while the Bengals are 19th overall in passing yards allowed. And that's with a big performance today by Lamar Jackson and company. So that's what I think it's going to be, almost kind of a similar style trend where the Commanders have a good front seven, but maybe weaker in the secondary. So how do you combat that overall? And on the flip side too, the Commanders, I think they're going to have a similar performance on how they had against Cincinnati Bengals. That Monday Night Football really put them on the map, because Ravens can give up a lot of passing yards, the 31st overall in passing yards allowed. A lot of that is due to several second half kind of defensive collapses a little bit, but they gave up 392 passing yards today. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins and company kind of able to do what they wanted at will. And so this offensive line's playing a lot better. Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler are having a great year in the backfield. Terry McLaurin is really loving having Jayden Daniels as his quarterback. So Danny Brown's playing well. Luke McCaffrey has had a solid start to the season so far, contributing a little bit in this game, but overall having a good season. So this is going to be a great matchup here. The Commanders are definitely going to have to play, once again, one of their better games, while the Ravens, I think, can still, once again, kind of have, I'll say, an average performance today, mainly more just because the defense really struggled. So that offensively, one of their best overall games. Maybe they would have liked to run the ball a little bit more effectively, but offensively still top notch in A-type performance. But the defense is going to have to pick it up, because this Jayden Daniels offense can burn people, as they've had over these past couple of weeks. So that to me, it's going to be a fun game. I never would have thought that this would be this tight of a matchup at the start of the season. But kind of getting into predictions here, who do you think is going to win this game and why?
I'm going to go with Baltimore. One, I just think they're going to be the more experienced team. It just player to player. But I have more faith in the Baltimore defense. I think these offenses are very similar in terms of explosive abilities and whatnot, just maybe slightly different ways. I think the Commanders have the better downfield passing attack, and the Ravens have the better, like, true running game. But quarterback wise, I think are obviously very similar. Jayden Daniels' comparison coming out of college was Lamar Jackson, and he is every bit that comparison so far through his NFL career. But I just trust this Baltimore defense to get a crucial stop or two, whereas I really think this Commanders defense is going to struggle. You look at what they did against Arizona, who's a good running team, but they gave up 180 rushing yards. Kyler Murray had 3 rushing yards in that game, and so I think they're really going to struggle to stop this Ravens traditional running offense.
Yeah, no, I mentioned the Cincinnati Bengals game a lot, and just because it's like comparable, we saw the Ravens were able to do something similar to the Cincinnati Bengals defense today, as what the Commanders were able to do. So I envision this being a higher scoring game. But I'm with you, though. I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think being at home, and I think just their ability to run the ball super effectively with Derrick Henry, it's going to cause Dan Quinn and this team to be like, do we want to try and be beat by the run or try and be beat by the pass? And I think I would rather have Lamar Jackson try and beat me through the air, which he absolutely can, as we saw today, than just being grinded to a pulp by Derrick Henry in this rushing offense. So I think they're probably going to have, we have to stop the run and then hope for the best. And I just don't think it's still going to be enough because there's still going to be weapons. You got Zay Flowers, going to have Isaiah Likely, going to have
Rashad Bateman.
Yeah,
Mark Andrews is still there.
Mark Andrews still there, and then they had the other tight end, Mark Andrews Light, is what I was calling him. Kohler. Am I not seeing Kohler on here? Or am I thinking? Oh yeah, Charlie Kohler here. So he had a really good game. So he had 3 catches for 64 yards. So I think they're just going to be able to slowly eke this one out. Also, too, maybe part of this, this is definitely superstitious, but Commanders have been riding high for a long time. Maybe they take a little bit of a dip after 4 straight wins, and going up against the reigning AFC regular season champs. I think this might be the time they're going to take a little bit of a dip and lose this game. I'm going to say like 35-28.
Yeah, I was going to say 38-31 as my final score. I will also say, like, look at who the Commanders have played so far. They lost to Tampa Bay team in week 1. Who Tampa Bay is a talented team. Don't get me wrong, but then they beat the Giants in just an absolute field goal shootout. And then they beat the Bengals, who are a somewhat struggling team. Arizona is a talented team that hasn't quite put all the pieces together yet. And then Cleveland is one of the worst. I think they are the worst offense in the league at this point.
No, your Patriots. Your Patriots still have that, I feel.
Okay, well, they're one of the worst offenses in the league, and like that team is just a mess at the moment. And so, like,
Cleveland's 32nd overall in total yards allowed.
Yeah,
Sorry, total yards.
Oh, okay. And so that's saying a lot because the Patriots offense sucks.
You guys are bad.
They suck. But yeah, so Cleveland has the worst offense in the league. This defense is just being grinded to a pulp. Like, even throughout the first 5 weeks, you can already see them being kind of worn down. So not to the Commanders have had a great start to the season, obviously starting 4-1. But I just think this Ravens team is going to be by far the best caliber team that they've faced. So
yeah.
So
I agree.
All right, let's go ahead. We'll wrap it up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Washington Commanders? Will it be the Baltimore Ravens? And that we'll see you guys next time.